I'm Kamika Dillard, certified ACC professional coach and CEO of S.A.V.E Forward Coaching. At S.A.V.E Forward Coaching, professional growth isn't one size fits all. That's why we've created 3 ways to support you. DOT for building clarity and direction, RISE for resilience and intentional action, and VISION for long-term strategy and leadership. Each program is designed to help you move through setbacks with confidence and clarity and create momentum that lasts. No pressure, no hustle, just real progress. Ready to explore what's possible? Book a free discovery call at S.A.V.E.forwardcoaching.com. Welcome to the Black Women Will Save Black Women, the podcast where we support, amplify, validate, and elevate Black women always. I'm your host, Kamika Dillard, and this is our sanctuary, a space built on the belief that when Black women show up for each other, we don't just survive, we save. This is more than a podcast, it's a movement. Let's get into it. In this week's Fail Forward Files, we got to be honest with each other, with ourselves, me talking to me. A lot of you guys have the same work ethic that you had in high school and college, and it's not working for you anymore. Oops, ouch, it hurts. I know. I have always been just super intelligent. I'm not like saying that just on some, oh, she really talking big shit about herself today. No. I'm smart. I'm a natural test taker, which is why I have a test prep business. I scored a perfect on my math on my SATs. I almost scored a perfect on the ACT. I'm just really, really smart. But I have leaned a lot on my intelligence to get stuff done versus my work ethic. I carried my half-assery, let's call it that, into my adulthood. And while I've been able to function highly in high school, highly in college, and even highly early in career around that, I can't continue to do that anymore. I can't cram. I can't do last minute projects. Even though I've managed to get A's on all that stuff, 1, my body just won't let me function the way that I used to function. And 2, it's just not producing the results that I wanted to produce at this point in time. If you have been a very long-term listener of this podcast, you will see a remarkable difference between the very first episode I've done and the later episodes that I'm doing now. Part of the reason why is that I prepare more in advance for my episodes. I take a lot of time. I set up my segments. I have my notes in front of me, which someone gets very upset when I go back and refer to them. But I am purposeful in like the way I plan and the way I want to show up, because I know that I can't just go off the wind, wherever the wind blows, and put out something if I want to have a really, really good product. So how do I know all my coaching programs work? Because S.A.V.E Forward Coaching is another part of the business that I'm working actively to make sure is successful. All the programs that I created had me in mind. I thought of myself first. I thought about how I would try to do too much. And as a result, I was getting nothing done, hence the DOT program. I had so many cycles of starting over, needing to reset, waiting for the opinions of others just to get something right in my mind so I can go back and execute, hence the RISE program. I came to the realization that, I can't have the life that I want if I don't have the work ethic to match it. So I stopped half-assing my life. I just do. I get a lot more done because I do less. And as a result, I see a lot more productive work. I see better results in the stuff that I'm really pouring my energy into. And I know that it works. So if you are ready to live up to your full potential and stop making excuses, which I know I will do myself, check out and visit S.A.V.E.forwardcoaching.com. I'm here to help you. I have systems in place, and it's not just like fluff stuff. No, we put stuff pen to paper to get stuff done. And if you're ready to get that kind of or get those kind of results that I'm talking about, check us out. And that's this week's Fail Forward Files. All right, our guest for today, I'm super excited about Chimere Brown. And side note, not my friend Chimere Brown, who is like my cousin. We grew up together, but I know she's gonna hear this episode and be like, "Girl, you got an imposter on a show with the same name." No, Chimere Brown, MBA, PMP, is a results-driven leader with 13 plus years in digital transformation, AI integration, and operational excellence across tech and pharma. She led strategic programs at Salesforce, Career Builder, and Biogen, and brings a strong foundation in chemical engineering and chemistry. As host of the Crossroads Callings podcast, Chimere shares stories of pivot and purpose while also giving back through organizations like Chicago Scholars and Project Sincere. Her blend of professional expertise and authentic passion makes her a powerful guide for navigating life's major transitions. Welcome to the sanctuary, Chimere Brown.
Thank you. Appreciate such a warm welcome, Kamika. And thanks for thinking of me.
Of course. I think everyone should know how we kind of like came to just even be in community with each other, which I think is always just good to know. One thing I keep preaching to everyone on my socials and my real life is that you got to be in community with each other. You got to be kind to each other. And we met as a result of Afrotech, correct?
Yes, it was you did an Afro Tech panel and you made yourself available to be reached out to. And so I was like, hey, heard you have a podcast. I have a podcast too. Do you want to talk about it? And it kind of just went from there. So I appreciate you being one of the few people that say reach out and and I reach back. That doesn't always happen. It doesn't also happen as seamlessly either because it happened pretty quickly. And then you extended the invite, and I subscribed to your podcast. You subscribed to mine, and it's just been good to support each other in that way.
Yeah, so me and Chimere are both very early in our podcasting. I think we, at this point, have dropped the same number of episodes, if I'm not correct.
I think you may be a little further ahead. I'm only this week will be 4 for
Oh,
me.
no, see, I dropped 3 this week. So you one episode ahead, but I've recorded a ton of episodes, y'all. So a lot of
Okay.
stuff is coming. But I was just so grateful to like meet someone whose story is very similar to mine in so many
Yeah.
aspects. So tell us your story of what brings you here today to even be creating a podcast, et cetera, et
Yeah.
cetera.
So I think we're similar in the sense that we both have a tech background. I think, and then we're both, well, I don't know if you're still laid off, but I'm laid
Girl, I'm
off,
still
but
laid off, girl. We trying to
okay.
figure this out. And we got
Life
laid off
happens
very
fast.
yeah, we trying to figure this out. We got pretty much laid off very close in time too.
Yeah, but I've been laid off 6 times. So I've been laid off 6 times of cycles of 3 to 4 years. And that occurred mostly in tech because tech is very volatile, ever changing. It's an industry that is high risk, high reward. They pay you really well, but the turnover is really, really high. It's just the nature of the beast. My first layoff happened in pharma, and it depends on how old your audience may be, but most people may or may not remember the crash of the economy, and specifically with healthcare in that 2008, 2009
Girl,
time
we
period.
millennials, we've been through it all and we do remember, sis.
Yes. So that was the first time. And I will say a lot of my layoffs was just life happening to me. Like that wasn't something I could control. It was just the nature of the climate, the nature of the economy. But definitely caught me off guard and wasn't expecting to that to be um, such a milestone in my career beyond that. And so I've had to kind of navigate things as they come with respect to the industry I'm in and as well as to my career.
So tell us about the most recent layoff.
Sure. So the most recent layoff, I was informed in February. I was officially relieved of my duties in February 2025. But they kept me on payroll, and they said my only job was to find something internal if I could. Um, and I did interview, but nothing really panned out. So my official last day was in April of 2025.
Yeah, so one thing about tech, they do keep you on payroll for about 60 days. That's the same thing that happened to me. I was let go in July, but I was officially on payroll until August 31st because it was the first part of July. And then, yeah, similar to Chimere, I had interviews internally and it just didn't pan out. So, what did you do your first official first 30 days of no longer being on payroll?
Um, I can start back in February because when I was relieved of my duties, I went on a month and a half road trip. I called it my road trip of healing and self-discovery. It's on TikTok if people want to check it out. I originally was supposed to go to DC and to network and look for a job, which was the thing that I had did the last time I was laid off. But this time I determined that I knew what was in DC. I know what that's about. So I decided to do a road trip through the South. I'm from Chicago. That is not something I do. I have Caribbean parents. I don't know what's down there. So I decided to take a road trip from Chicago to Louisville. Went from Louisville to Nashville, from Nashville to Atlanta, Georgia, from Atlanta to New Orleans, from New Orleans to Dallas, Texas, from Dallas to Oklahoma, Oklahoma to St. Louis, then St. Louis to Chicago. So I was gone the entire month of March. I returned the week before I was no longer on payroll.
What made you want to first drive? Because I'm not a driver, I'm a flyer.
Yeah.
What made you want to do a road trip to all these cities? What were you hoping to find or heal along the way? It's very interesting.
Yeah. So I was looking for God. Honestly, I was looking for God. I was looking for myself. Um, each leg of the journey, I set goals. So I would do something local to the city, and then I will look up the local Black professional organizations and I would network with them. And then I would enjoy the nightlife and sit at the bar and just start talking to people and just catch a vibe for what the city entailed, maybe get some suggestions on what I should see. And I was just hoping that something would click. Mind you, this was my sixth layoff. I really didn't know what to do next. But I believed that something would come out of that journey. Why I took the road to Dallas, I always thought I would wanted to live in Dallas, Texas. And instead of driving straight to Dallas, I just took the extended route and just made pit stops. And so I spent the longest leg of my journey in Dallas. Again, I did some networking and met some people. I didn't realize I'm very social in Chicago. I didn't realize how many people had left Chicago and lived in these cities until I started letting people know that I was en route. And then people would say, "Oh, I have a cousin there. Look him up," or "Oh, I have a friend here." So I had people kind of helping me along the way and kind of guiding me along this journey. So I was alone. It was a solo trip, but I can honestly say I wasn't alone because every leg of the journey, there was someone there to meet me that I didn't expect that would meet me there.
Did you
Yeah.
find God?
Did I find him? Not in the sense in which I was hoping for. I was hoping for something profound. I was hoping that I would find a job. I was hoping that I would know without a shadow of a doubt that that maybe I was supposed to leave Chicago. I didn't find out any of those things. None of that happened. What did happen is I realized that I was never alone.
Mm.
Um, I that um, God was always with me wherever I went. I mean, it is Hickville, USA down there. And this was right before they enforced the real ID. So I didn't need any like passport to jump state line. So, I was lucky that I was able to move so freely. I was, I didn't experience any like brash racism or anything. Um, so did I find God? I found that He was with me, but did I find Him in the sense of finding answers for my life? No, I didn't.
Yeah, I will be the first to say me and God, we have a very contentious relationship because I plan. And my God, he laughs. When I decide to say, hey, I'm going to do something,
Yeah.
he is not in support and has other plans for my life.
Mhm, mhm.
So, yes. So I was hoping, if you told me you found God, maybe I would go on a road trip myself and hope that he might appear. um,
No, I did learn some stories. So when I was in Dallas, and I mean cut you off, but
you good?
I had lunch with a young lady that was based in Dallas, worked for the same company. And you know how you just see people on the conference scene, and I just reached out to her on LinkedIn, similar to how I reached out to you. And every person I talked to asked me the same question. What are you doing out here? Everybody asked me, no matter where I was, what are you doing out here by yourself? Like, what are you doing? And her and I had a breakfast, and she said, and I quote, I don't know what you're doing out here, but I'm glad that you're moving. And moving in the sense that I'm keeping it moving in my life, because she told me a story of a young lady who was laid off around the same time I was. And she was in her early 30s. And as soon as she got laid off, the stress of it, she had a massive stroke. So not
Mm,
only was she laid off and no longer had a job, but she also no longer had health insurance and was in the midst of rehabilitating. So she shared that story to show me that how what the end result could be if you stop moving.
mm,
And even though I didn't find quote unquote God in the way I was expecting him to, I was grateful that I had the wherewithal not to let it kill me and not let it destroy my life in that way, because that young lady is still rehabbing. She's younger than I'm 40, I'm 42. Having a massive stroke in your early 30s, I told the story to my mother, is almost unheard of. But we have a choice, and I definitely send my prayers to her and what she's going through. But it's either gonna kill you or it's gonna make you stronger.
absolutely. And one thing I totally resonate with that entire story too, because I've in the process of me interviewing lots of Black women for my podcast, and the women who I'm interviewing specifically are women who have experienced job loss, and so
Mhm.
much of our value has been attached to our jobs. And when we've lost these jobs, we've lost a part of ourselves, and people are hurting, y'all. People
Yeah.
are
Yes.
hurting. Okay. You got to take care of yourself. I'm 43 and my dad died at 44. And one of my biggest fears, he died from a heart attack. One of my biggest fears is dying from the stress of this world.
Mhm,
And it
mhm.
is a matter of, if you are here and you are alive, you got to keep going. You got to keep moving. You can't let situations like ours just paralyze you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we get back to Chicago
Hmm.
and we take a look at our pocketbooks. So
Yeah.
did we get severance? Did we have our 6 months of savings? How are we looking financially?
So financially, they were really generous, I will say. And all the times I've been laid off, this is probably the most generous layoff I've ever had. I got, I rolled up into sales as a sales programs manager. So I got my bonus because I was due to get my bonus in April. And of course, I was laid off in April, but they still gave me my bonus because it was my bonus from the end of the year. I earned it. I met my metrics. It was mine. So they gave me that. And then they gave me 25 weeks of my salary. And then I also got, um, of course, my unemployment as well. So I had a nice, nice little cushion nest egg towards the end of it now. I have, but I had like equity and some other things that to kind of carry me along. So that is what I'm working on now. But they gave me a really nice package.
So, because they gave you a nice package,
Mhm.
did you feel compelled to hop into looking for a job immediately? Or what was your mindset when you got back from your road trip? Like, what were you trying to figure out from a professional perspective?
So when I got back, I jumped back into the job search. I have a really close relationship with some HR personnel that was internal to the company. And every time they got a rec that said project management operations, they would send it to me. And that's how I got my first round of interviews. So when I got back, I interviewed probably the first two months. So I got back, like I said, mid-April. Um, and then I started interviewing in May and June. And the funny thing about it is I would go through the interview process and then get to a certain point and they would say, "Hey, we're looking for someone internal." And I was like, "Really?" Because I was just internal a month ago.
The nerve.
So it just really didn't make sense. Um, but I wasn't pressed. And I'm from Chicago, and if anybody knows anything about summertime shy, by the time Juneteenth kicked around, it was 90 plus degrees. It was boat season. I was just like, okay, I didn't get these jobs. I'm gonna just enjoy my summer. We only get 100 days of summer in Chicago, at least that's what they say. Um, so after having those three interviews, I just enjoyed my summer.
So, where are we at now in terms of our job search? Are we looking for a job? What are we trying to do?
So since that time, I think I picked up my job search in September. And I went to a lot of conferences. The S.A.V.E conference was here in Chicago. That was in the spring. So I did go to that before I went on my road trip. And then I went to the National Black MBA Conference, which was in
Amazing.
September.
Yep.
Um, and then I did not go to Afrotech, but I'm going to Techsgiving in DC. So
Hmm.
I've been on kind of the conference scene trying to network, and that has been my way of looking for employment. I also joined at the end of July, I joined this group called Career Evolve, and they have this 5-step process that covers like mindset and career search. So I had that group to kind of lean into to like kind of help me get back into the mode of looking because once you're out of it, you really don't want to do it anymore, just being honest. And then you really don't have the wherewithal to really want to deal with the kind of rejection of it all. But getting into that group, they have like phase one, which is all about mindset work and meditation and dismantling negative thoughts and 100 reasons why, which is like affirmations. And then from there they teach you how to do your outreach and really get back into searching for a job. So I am actively looking for contract roles, full-time roles. I pitch my skills on different platforms because I have an LLC. So as an independent contractor as well. I acquired my Scrum Master certification over the summer as well. So I've been, when I talk about it out loud, I haven't been as passive as I think I am, because that's a lot, like
It
road trip,
is.
certification, career
Conferences.
evolve. Like I've been kind of busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what else are you working on besides all
Yeah.
those things?
So I started my podcast journey similar to you in November. First episode went live November 7th. And that has, just been ministry. I think doing something like a podcast from, dare I say, like a broken place,
Mm,
um, can be very healing. And the fact that you're exposing something that people are typically very ashamed of, it takes the power back, and it allows you the freedom to create the narrative for whatever you want it to be. Um, but I'm not gonna lie, it has it has been, I do have my moments where, you feel lost, you don't know what else to do. And I created my podcast out of the need because so much life had happened to me. Like I said, 6 layoffs is a lot, and there's a lot of story in there. I needed to feel like life wasn't just happening to me. I was at a point where I was like, God, we got beef. Did I offend you? Is there a problem here? Did my ancestors do something? Like it was just got to a point where I was being very negative, and I needed to hear testimony service, not in the sanctified church sense, but I
mm.
needed to hear people's coming out stories. Yes, this happened to me. Yes, life happens, but this is how I came out. Like there is an other side, and that is where like Crossroads and Callings came from. Just seeing the other side and acknowledging that life is not linear and it happens to us all. But after that, there is more. There is hope. There is something else. So.
Why did we decide to call it Crossroads and Callings?
I really think it may have came from my road trip. I was literally on a crossroads. It was me trying to define this new version of Chimere. I think the women that have come before me and the women in my life that have hit the age of 40 something and beyond did a disservice in letting us know, at least letting me know, that you changed so much.
Girl.
Not just like like this is a whole new body, okay? Like this a whole new body. My skin has changed, my hair has changed, but like me as a person has changed, and I was not prepared. I was not prepared for that. And I think that was the beginning of my crossroads, thinking that something was wrong with me. Why haven't I been able to make this corporate career thing work? What did I do wrong? And when I tell you I've done so much soul searching and I've taken accountability for the areas in my life that I said, okay, this I could have done this differently, or no, this was, I can kind of see my role in how my life has played out. But I think I needed someone to tell me it's okay if you don't have it figured out at this age. It's okay if you're not married. It's okay if you don't have kids. It's okay if you're not VP of operations. And I think that's what was the kickoff to me kind of figuring out what to do next. Do I think I'm in my calling? I don't know. I feel like I'm in purpose. I feel like I created a platform of safety and sanctuary as you have, giving people the opportunity to be vulnerable and to share their stories. They feel freer after they come. And then people are learning. So it's this knowledge sharing in a way that I didn't have when I needed it. I'm becoming what I needed.
Listen, I totally agree. One of my biggest beefs with Gen X, even baby boomers and the forgotten generation, is I don't feel they were comfortable enough in their vulnerability to really kind of let us know how what life really is about.
Yeah.
Because I swear, even with, since we're so close in age, we're dealing with perimenopause, which I never even heard about perimenopause until like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And like I get so like angry sometimes with like my mom and like my aunts, because they didn't talk about like the series of your body changing, your mind changing, like how
Yes.
you feel like. And I just said it's so indicative of that entire generation. They just didn't share enough shit. Like, why didn't
Hmm.
you tell me like my body was going to change? Why didn't you tell me that like I could do all the right things and still not have the success that I thought
Yeah.
I would be entitled to? Because when you say, oh, yeah, you've had 6 layoffs, I've never left a job voluntarily on my own. So I've
Yeah.
had layoffs, I've been fired, and you think you're doing all the right things, and if you mark this box and check this list and go through this motion, you will get to X, Y, and Z. And that's just not how life has played out for us, and it's
Yeah.
frustrating. It's really
It
frustrating.
it is. No, I
Yeah,
can agree.
which is why I'm so glad that you're using your platform also to share your stories, to bring others around to, share their stories. It is purposeful work. Now, I don't know, like, listen, I ain't making no money off my podcast right now.
Yeah.
And I would love to like be like that person that says, "Oh no, this is like my life," like certain people, but I know that I'm walking in purpose right now. So, with that being said, how would you like for this community to save you? How would you like for us to show up for you?
I don't know if I need saving per se.
Saving meaning support, amplify, validate, elevate.
Oh, okay, girl. Yeah, support me. Um, by all means. Oh, you can follow Crossroads and Callings on all social media platforms. It is spelled with the X, so CRXRDSCALLINGS. We are also on all major podcasting platforms. Subscribe to Substack. I do a little bit of article writing, um, just to kind of set the tone for the episode. Um, so by all means, reach out and subscribe. Open to having more conversation. If anything in my story perked their interest, I'm happy to share like what life on a road looked like for those 30 plus days. Like I said, it is on TikTok, but that was not my first trip that I've taken to just heal. Um, and so if they have any advice on how I got started, how I planned for it, just open to sharing that. And yeah, that's about it.
Okay, I love it. Thanks, Chimere, for sharing your story and
Yeah.
being vulnerable. And yes, we will make sure that we drop all the links in the podcast description. I'm excited about whatever these next few months look like. Would love to follow back up with you to see how you're doing and to see what else you might be working on. But you've been awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kamika.
Awesome.
And yeah.
All right. So, for this week's save strategy, oh gosh, I lost my save strategy. It's okay, Kenyon, you can edit this part because my screen just went completely blank on me. I promise you, Mercury retrograde is kicking my butt, okay? Just an FYI. All right. In this week's save strategy, we are going to focus on the E, which is elevate. I really want you to think about how can you level up in your life right now? Like, what can you be doing better to ensure that you are on the pathway to living the best life possible? So, like I shared earlier, I recognized that I was doing myself a disservice by having the same work ethic that I had in college, in my early 20s. I would even say in my 30s. So, I really want us to think about ways to move forward to elevate our lives for good. So, and for better. So it could be as something as simple as, you know what, I'm not going to buy, um, not to knock anyone who does shop. I'm not going to buy fast fashion because the money that I spend on fast fashion over and over again, I could just buy some signature pieces and have in my closet. I want to elevate the way that I look for 2026. It could be as little as, hey, I'm going to be really conscious of what I put into my body. Meaning, like, hey, I'm not going to just eat junk food. I want to elevate, like, my diet, my way of living. Think about, like, what elevation really looks like. I think sometimes we think of it from a money perspective, but there's so many different ways that we can elevate, level up to ensure that we're loving ourselves and giving the best of ourselves, or giving the best to ourselves so we can become the best versions of ourselves. And that is this week's S.A.V.E strategy. As usual, follow, like, subscribe on all social media, on Spotify, on Apple. Black Women Will Save Black Women. YouTube. Please go and subscribe on YouTube. As usual, support, amplify, validate, elevate. That's how we save. And never forget, Black women will save Black women. I'm your host, Kamika Dillard. See you next week.